Good morning. So here to debate the affirmative case, Cindy Wong from Yuxin, which is a online used car sales platform in China. And here to debate the negative case, Diane Yu of Freewheel, a video advertising service company. And before we jump in, just to get some sense of where we're starting from, I want to take a sense of the audience of whether you agree, should you need a college degree to work in a tech company? Those who agree that you do need a college degree, should need a college degree, please raise your hand. Okay, that you should not need a college degree. Can I see? Okay, I'd say that's about, what, 80% no? Something like that, maybe? Somewhere around there. 75, 80% no. That's where we'll start from. We'll see how much things move as we go through. So now we're going to start off an opening statement from Cindy, and we'll jump in with that.
Okay. Thank you, guys. You guys gave me a really challenge at the beginning, because my job is to agree that you need a college degree to work in a tech company. So before I start my argument, I want to ask for the audience, how many of you holding at least a college degree? Great, over 90%. So let's rephrase the question. It is about, do you need a college degree to work in a tech company? It is not, do you need a college degree to be successful? So actually the question is easier, right? We do need a college degree to work in a tech company, because the percentage of the one to become a Mark Zuckerberg is so less. I'm not talking about the rest of the 10% guys won't be him one day. I'm just talking about in average, what do we need as a prerequisite? So let me starting from myself. I never think I'm a very good student, but I'm holding like double degree for my bachelor, and I'm holding 2 master degree. I never really work hard in the school, but I mean, like, frankly speaking, I share some benefits from when I have the degrees. At an early stage of my career, I'm always the first one to send out of the resume. So the HR always call me, Cindy, can you come for interview? So I think this is the first step when you want to work for a company, because there are so many applicants, right? At least you need to let someone to be convinced you are able to work in a company, because the company is a system. It's not a wonderland or a zoo that you can go free. They must have some like preconditions to confirm that you are able to work in a team and you have some basic knowledge to work in future. So that's why I got a lot of interviews. Does it mean that I will be successful in every interview? It doesn't mean like that. It just means that you will be one step earlier than the other applicants. Of course, if you don't have a degree or you want to go some shortcut, you can go for elevate pitches. But standing from employer's perspective, how much more efforts does it mean? It means, all right, there will be like, for example, in Google, every week there will be 50,000 applicants to apply for a job. But only 0.02% will get an offer. If you don't have a degree, you will make this process much longer than the normal people. So to make it is really simplified. Let's just make the world more efficient and make your life easier. Secondly, well, when the HR, the hiring manager, they're talking about, yes, you don't need a degree to be successful. They mean someone already got an offer from MIT, Harvard, and Stanford. When they mean, yes, you can drop from the university, they mean that you already proved that you can enter into Stanford, Yale, Harvard. So yeah, sure, if you already proved that you have such great abilities or capabilities, I think you can enter in a company without a degree. So to make it really short, I think having a degree is really basic requirement when you knock the door of the tech company.
Great, thank you. All right. Diane, let's hear case on the other side with your opening statement.
So when we started, like 80% of this room already agree that you don't have to have a college degree in order to enter a tech company. So my job is convincing the remaining 2% in this room that to agree that you don't necessarily need a degree. So I think it depends. What Cindy argued that once you have a college degree, you have a better chance to get a job. But I would argue that it's not good enough to get a job, right? There's a Chinese saying that if you don't want to be a general, you're never going to be a good soldier. So everybody wants to get in the field. They want to be, eventually, they want to become a general. And that's how you make a successful career. You don't just want to work for a job, okay? So in order to do that, and then yes, have broader education help you. However, I know we all know I'm in the tech field. I'm CTO and co-founder. So I started off as a software engineer, and then these days I know the language I learned and I used 10 or 20 years ago is no longer the most popular language. So every day you have to learn a lot of new things, and that's not something that you can learn from college. And especially for all those new fields like AI, that there are several things actually come up in yesterday and today about, and then there's a blockchain, there's a fintech coming up. Nobody learned that from college because there's no professor actually can master that knowledge and teach their student. And then, basically all those knowledge got outdated so quickly. And as a result, yes, you learn some basic from college, yes, get you in the door, but it will never be able to ensure success. For you to be successful, and I think it's more important that you have the learning attitude, and you learn from the beginning all the way till, every day you're at work, you learn from the new things. So that's not a college degree can guarantee you. As an employer, when I look for employees, especially for some innovative field, there's no way that I can get someone who with a prior educational background related to that to join me. And what do I do? And do I just go out and without the capability of hiring anybody? No, I go for the raw talent. I go for the smart people who are willing to learn, who want to pick up things on the job, and then be successful. Most of the time, those type of folks are the ones to be very successful because their thought process, their thinking, their learning capability are not basically limited by their prior education, and they don't have a prior constraint on how they should think through things. Those are the employees often come up with innovative solution to help our company be successful. That's why I always opt for without a need of college degree to be able to be successful.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like the key is just sort of how useful as an employer a college degree is in sort of screening through the applicants. Cindy, I would ask you then. I mean, if other than college degree, I mean, what is the top thing, the most important, most useful thing you would look at to screen out of these thousands of job applicants and things?
Yes, I never said that we only look at that if you're holding a degree or not. I'm just saying it is prerequisite to knock the door. After you knock in the door, of course, there are so many things you can learn, not only from the school, but there are certain things you must learn from the school. I think one, company is a system. It's a well-organized system to need to run by very good discipline and a scheme. Even for a tech company, I think a tech company even more challenging because it is so fast growing that he needs everyone to be self-motivated and also to be in the place. It is not I would say because I also for top really big tech companies and also right now in a more startup-ish type of companies, tech companies, the difference between the tech companies and the traditional Fortune 500 company, we don't really have we do have a training system, but the training will be not only on job, which means you must be obtaining already certain knowledges on your position. Of course, it depends. If you're coding, you should learn coding in school or by your own. If you're a marketing or salesperson, it doesn't mean that you need to have a marketing PhD degree. But when you have basic knowledge, the team will work much more efficiently and easier because we can't wait for just one person, to learn by his own. If you have nothing previously knowledge, of course you can be a smart person. Then it requires we have such great learning skill because I don't think from the employer point of view skill. He can lead everyone from a craft for man to be a fully skilled person. We need to really be moving fast. Otherwise, you lose the essence of tech company.
Okay.
So I'll just piggyback on that point. Today's system, especially the global educational system, and how many of you think today's educational system globally, regardless whether it's US or China or Asian or Europe, they're being successfully to be able to educate the best people to grow for the future? How many of things we have a very good education system? Please raise your hand. Oh, I see two out there. I myself, I have a 5-year-old daughter. Her name is Maggie, and when I look into all those educational system, I find that most of the education system actually fail at educating, the most excellent people. What they do is they go after for having everybody have the same trained school of thoughts. So a lot of smart kids at school, they don't get attention to be able to advance. So the better they are, a lot of them, when they learn, they find out that what the teacher teaching them is boring. So they have to learn on their own. And then in this particular case, I would just argue that in most of the a college degree education system, and then the fact that our today's system cannot differentiate, basically educate for the individual's capability and helping them to advance on their own, and it's actually limiting the potential growth of the individual. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of excellent kids, they actually go out of the school system and trying to learn what they need to learn for the future, for their career. So I would argue that, hey, sometimes going into a school system may actually limiting their growth potential. That's why we as employers should always look for not just, hey, you have a college degree, therefore you must be excellent. And you should look for, keep your eye wide open, for the individuals actually go alternative route. Because they may be those may be the great ones that help your company or help the company build a great company and then create a future.
But Diane, instead of a college degree, those qualities that you're talking about that you're looking for, how do you identify, efficiently the people that have those qualities? I think that's part of what Cindy's saying. It's a tool to help.
I would argue it's not the college entrance exam actually are the best way. I would not argue it's the best way to identify the raw talent. Because a lot of ways we all know there are some students actually score really well, in those type of standard exam system. Mm-hmm. And then when you look for those type of kids who score really well, it doesn't really mean when they're on the job, they have to, given an unknown system or unknown situation, they can be successful. So when you look at the kids, when you look at the talents who are, basically are not typically have a college, stamped degree saying, hey, I did this GPA, like 4.0, therefore must be excellent. You look at their raw capability on learning, look at what they're reading, what they're following, and then, basically how quickly they can react and adapt. Those are not something a college entrance exam would give you.
Well, again, we're not talking about the entrance exam to a college. That's not our employers or tech companies' responsibility. Of course, our primary target and purpose is to find the best talents as much as we could, but because we're just one set, and given the condition, just to put your degree on a resume, at least it gives us higher chance to find the talents. I'm not saying that we're going to miss out the talents if we're not looking at those resumes. So let's just look at ourselves. Like Diana and me, and we both born and grew up in China. Why would we work in a tech company now? I'm just talking about it statistically because we at least receive basic education in China. And we got really lucky and perhaps work a little bit harder to get an offer from international school in States or in other continents. Then it give our more access and open more doors to even better and advanced technology companies. But look at us, why government in China, in mainland China, still making so much efforts? Because it's so imbalanced for the education system in China. we're not talking about we're going to limit our potential to grow. The majority of the kids, they don't even have a chance and opportunity to enter in a normal school. So I think the normal school is just a platform to at least provide an equal opportunity and a chance for you to get a better access for your future. But it doesn't mean that we're going to miss out all the talents. I think to become a genius and talents, the education plays an important role. But of course, you need to work and rely on yourself to make more efforts after work and after school.
Okay. I think we're going to have a short closing statement from each of you. And maybe, I think we'll go Diane first.
So if you think so, if you follow Cindy's logic, and then the number of people who can be successful will be very limited. And then our economy, our society will not grow because, the fact that people who can go to Harvard or go to the top school are very small percentage. The fact that our economy is growing, the fact that we're all here and we have a lot of innovative idea is because many folks and many talent focus on being innovative, and many of those people in that field doesn't have a degree like graduate from Harvard. You don't have to. And then there are many successful people in the tech field. I would say the extraordinary ones, they tend to be the dropout. And then there are like venture funds these days, and they just only focus on people and supporting and sponsoring folks who actually go to the degree, go to the college, and then drop off, and because they think they hold master higher potential. So I would argue, in order for the society and also economy to advance, and we should all help and also encourage people, whenever you have a great idea, and go do that and focus on that, because you may have a better meaning of your life just because you follow your thoughts and then pursue your dream.
Okay, all right.
To make it short.
Your closing case.
Yeah, to make it short. So again, I'm always, very consistent. It doesn't mean you need to have a degree to be successful, but having a degree just make the life easier for for yourself and for the employer. And I would say, okay, just think about the lottery case. Yeah, it will add some odds to winning a lottery case, perhaps, but in fact, not really.
All right.
Let's see whether we convince anybody.
Stay in school? I don't know. All right. Maybe let's kind of see where we're at, and then maybe we may have just a bit addendum. All right. Has anyone kind of changed their views listening to this debate? So just kind of ask if anybody. All right. All right.
One.
A couple. All right. All right. Maybe a few then. Okay. First of all, so those who agree that you should need that you should have a college degree to work at a tech company, can we get hands, please? Okay. And
actually, I know the results, but it's my obligation to argue.
and should not need, that you do not need. Okay, and it seems a fair bit in the middle, kind of.
But for the ones who are not raising your hand, what does it mean? It means let's just not work in the tech companies.
I think kind of, yes, yeah. So picking up on one of the things Diane said, I mean, would you hire a dropout? Would you look at someone who was a...
Frankly speaking, so for me, I really don't care if you have a degree or not. I only want to have the best person ever. So there is actually, in reality, there's a lot of people knocking my door. Like, I don't follow on the standardized interviewing process. If the guy can prove he's capable, I always send the offer directly in front of me. So I would like to say it really depends. If a really as an employer, if a really talented guy and you see he or she has great potential, just no hesitation and give him or her the offer immediately. But also the system and also the HR doing their job, because they also want use some kind of technique and approach to make sure the company runs perfectly. So you know what? Like Amazon, the company, I know they have a philosophy when they're hiring people. They said, of course we want the best person, but let's make sure 80% of our job, we make sure we get the average and the ones who will not make significant mistake. So that's how the company works.
Okay. All right, we're
So-
pretty much out. If you want to
Yeah, I
run
can
one very
add
fun.
a few more over there. So when we actually look for talent, especially as a tech CTO, we do a lot of hiring. When we look for talent, we typically, regardless of how well thought out your interview process are, I always tell my team that it's a 50% chance you'll get the right person or not. Okay, when you bring them on the job, because there are many things a interview or any type of credential they have just won't be able to tell you whether they're going to be successful at the job. And then you carefully look for the individual who may have a chance to be successful, but be aware that it's really like 50% chance. It's like random. And when you bring them in and you look for whether they have the potential when they run into a situation, whether they react correctly, whether they adapt, whether they learn, and then that's a good indication. I always think that it's good for a manager or employer to look at the individual when they come on the come on the team for like 3 to 6 months. You will have a good indication, but many times your interview process just won't tell you correctly. That's why I always educate my team that keep their eyes wide out, open for any potentials in the future, because that's to have a open opinion, accept all type of talent to join your team is the key for the team, for the company to be successful. Please keep that in mind.
All right. So take your chances. I think that you've just kind of heard
Thank you.
these two companies. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.